and like you can see the water starting to move. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And then he goes over and he gets this big container, and he gets a scooper in this drum, and just flings it out into the water. And you would have thought it was piranha in that water, man. Piranha. Am I right?
Yes.
Like, it was boiling.
They just come jumping out of the water all of a sudden, or what?
So Dad would feed these catfish. He had this pond stocked with catfish, thousands of them.
Yeah.
Man,
Half albino.
craziest
right?
thing you ever seen.
So there's dark blue or whatever, green, gray, but he had albino. Remember, right? Am I right?
Yes.
So he would take this big shovel of dog food and sling
The
it
Red
and
Sox are going for a win in their third
evenly
consecutive
covered
game.
these, like,
Hello
like
and
a
welcome,
sprinkler.
everybody.
Yes.
Dwayne Kuiper
And
joined by Mike Krukow for
the
today's
surface of dog
MVP
food.
baseball
Dog
game
food.
with EA Sports.
The surface
The
of the
starter,
water
Victor
just
Zambrano.
started just going like
This
exactly
matchup
like
features
hot
the Boston
tub
Red
in
Sox
color.
and the
That's
Tampa Bay
exactly
Devil
what-
Rays.
all the way across the lake, and that was the catfish.
Yeah.
That.
Just after.
Dog food.
Getting after.
Here's the game's first
He
batter,
loves
Johnny
doing that.
Damon.
He loves showing that to people.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't the first?
No.
Oh, okay, special.
Well, you were. I mean, if you got to see it, he thought a lot of you. But he loved that. He loved that
Man.
visual.
Albino catfish is something part of the Dale Earnhardt legacy that I think needs to be more
We're
prominent.
underway with the first
Like, why do we
pitch,
not get to hear about that? This is the first I'm hearing about albino
Man in black
catfish.
with his albino.
You're
The
right.
show does.
Wow.
The show brings that stuff out.
So as soon as you saw the lake basically come up and become alive, that's when you knew this is where I need to work.
I said, I'm going to work with this guy. He can control the fish, man. So I shortly thereafterwards, I went into work, and I told
And he
Ray,
gets the call
I said,
strike.
look, I've got this opportunity at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. They want me to come up and be in this car chief role. I think it's
The pitch is
he go
hit to
Carter?
left field.
basically.
Crawford should have no problem.
He said, what is that?
Made up a role.
They just
Just made that up just to get you out of here.
He's
That's
gonna be the
basic.
car chief.
Exactly. and the thing that was, the reason was I just
No balls
explained to
in
him, I
one
said, look, I want to be a crew chief by the time I'm 30. I want to be a crew chief by the time I'm 30. The depth at Hendrick Motorsports is just too high.
He barely made
There's
contact
too many folks
there.
here. There's too many great folks here that I'm not going to get to that point. And he said, look, I get it.
And on three
And
pitches, he's gone.
Ray was
Here's
super
the
cool
lineup
about
the
it.
manager is
Super
sending
cool, 'cause
out.
he could have immediately at that point kicked me out and said, all right, man, we're going to move on without you.
Today's starter
There
for
was
the
still
visiting
probably
team,
12
Ray
races to go
Miller.
in the season. And we made a commitment that, look, we're going to go down and we're going to finish this thing. We're going to win this championship. And then we're going to shake hands and part ways. And we did. We were very fortunate. We got to get out and win our second championship with the 24 car.
Stepping in.
The thing was probably the coolest for me, obviously, other than Ray's willingness to keep me on board there, was Mr. Hendrick. And within a couple weeks of the end of the season, Mr. H comes in and he's having a chat with Ray.
Damon puts it away.
And they walk back out of the shop, and
The
Ray's
next
walking
batter
Rick
is
out.
Aubrey
I
Huff.
walked past me, and Ray grabbed me and he said, hey, Rick, just so you know, Chad's leaving us today. So Rick said, yeah.
the middle.
I heard that. Rick grabs me and said, why don't you come outside and chat with me for a minute?
He's
So we
aboard
walked
with a
outside,
one-out single.
and Mr. Hendrick and Ray gave me a loan to get that first townhouse. Back. Not a lot of money, but enough money, right? Enough that I wanted to pay him back, or I was going to pay him back.
And a strike
And
on the inside
I said,
corner.
look, I want you to know that I'm going to continue to pay you back what it is that I owe you, and I should have it paid up by the end of the year. You know, if you're going to skip out, I'm not going to be good on my debt.
He reaches with a single.
And he looked at me and he said, Chad, I'll tell you what.
No doubt about
If
that.
you promise me
all the way.
that if you go out there and you prove your worth as being a crew chief, and I have a position for you in the future, and I offer you a job that you'll come back to work for me, you don't need to worry about that. I said, deal. Shook his hand.
That's a Rick Hendrick move right
I'm
there.
telling you, man, I got smooth. I got smooth.
Yeah.
He was already planning your next move
Yeah.
for you. Man, that's pretty
Throws it
impressive.
over for a strike.
Pretty lucky.
He throws a
So you go and
a
I remember
curveball.
seeing you walking around in the shop.
Oh, is that
That
right?
one's
Yeah.
chopped off the plate.
I was
Gathers it in
driving
with
the
his
Xfinity
glove.
car,
There's an out.
and
He's out.
98.
Steve, yes, Steve and Phil Leap.
Pretty good right-handed
one
batter.
car, and I remember seeing you at the shop. How long
Here
were you?
comes the first
very
pitch
brief.
of the
Yeah,
at-bat.
not as long as
Yanked to the
what
left
we had, any of
side.
us had hoped, honestly.
That's the third out,
Through the
and
winter,
two men are left
up
hanging
into
in
Daytona.
scoring position.
I don't know if you know this, but
With
the shop
one
wasn't
inning
built yet,
played,
so we
the
built
game
our
is
super
scoreless.
speedway cars. We started them in the Deer Hill
Leading
shop,
off the second,
and
Lance
then we moved down to
Berkman.
the chicken farm.
Chicken farm.
This
I knew
man
that's where you were
known to go
going.
on
Yeah.
streaks
So
versus
I didn't know that,
right-handed
but that's
pitching.
that's the obvious next place.
Yeah,
Chicken house.
yeah, down there, and that's
He
the
showed
foulest
excellent command of
smelling
his fastball
area
right
I've
there.
ever
A
been in
strike
my life.
right on the edge of the zone.
Disgusting.
That is
So
hilarious.
And a call strike.
But yeah,
Pitcher nailed
only
the
through
corner, right on
Darlington,
target.
and And it just didn't fit, man.
Lofts one to left.
I was
Crawford
pretty
should
high
have no
strung back then.
problem.
I really was.
He didn't get on his ball. The
It
fielder
was just,
stole
it was,
over,
it
got
was just
under,
different
made
for
an
me,
easy play.
right? I wasn't in the right spot, wasn't in the right place mentally. I wish I could have made it work or had a different outcome, but it just wasn't right for me.
Where'd you
Gets
go?
a strike
Man.
high in the strike
So
zone.
at that point, I was freelancing.
Sweet pitch right
Changing
there,
tires.
partner. He put that changeup right
Done
where
for
he
hire
wanted
at that
for a called
point.
strike.
Was doing some fabrication stuff on the side. Just
Burrows
trying to find
made him look
my
easy on
way.
that out at first, guys.
I mean, had
Next
Darryl
up,
Waltrip
Trot
could sub
Nixon.
for Steve when Steve got hurt in Atlanta. We had some really good races with Darryl.
Zambrano
That's
delivers a
right.
fastball
He actually
out
did
of the
well.
zone.
Really well, really well. A couple top fives.
Yeah.
You know, for Dale at that point, or for Darryl at that point, that was pretty good.
That was.
And he gets
And,
the called strike.
So he was working with Tyler Jett at the point in time, and he asked me to come over there and help work with those guys. So I went to Tyler Jett, and I was
This
hanging
guy
out
can
over
struggle
there.
with his control at times,
And
is
then we
known
ended up
to
with
give
Rich
up key
Fickle
walks.
driving that. And David Green drove the 10-10-3-4-5 car.
Yep.
We took that car down there with the Homestead. We sat on the pole at Homestead. James
Heading
Ince was
into
the
the
crew
bottom
chief.
of the
Jay Guy
second.
and I
No
were
score here.
primary caregivers of the car at that point.
Up next.
And then Evernham left
This batter pounds the
in
ball off
99
right-handed pitchers.
24 to start the Dodge development program. Ray called me up and asked me if I would be the lead on that and the crew chief of the Dodge test team and the development program for Evernham Motorsports at that point in Dodge.
So you did that?
I did.
Hit towards the shortstop.
How did you end up on the 9?
So,
Base hit to lead off the
well,
inning.
the 9,
Was it that?
Next
well,
at the plate,
right, but so-
John Figgin.
Ray bought Bill Elliott Racing. Right? So we were doing the Dodge, and Ray bought Bill's
He
deal.
barely made contact
So we
there.
were starting to work with them on their super speedway program and a couple of cars. And Eddie DeHunt was over there at that point in time. Mike Ford, and we were going through just kind of collaborating. So I worked with those guys a little bit, but I was never on the 9. What I was on was the 92.
92.
He is
yes.
running on the pitch.
So when we
How
were
did
He
you get
just
that?
stole second.
well,
Pitcher did
so
not
doing the
do a
Dodge
very
team,
good job of keeping it close.
was
That's
crew chief
an
for
easy
Casey
steal.
Atwood for a couple of races.
You did?
Yeah.
It's like a third car or second car for him. Yeah, they're
It was the Evernham Motorsports car, kind of Elliott, under Elliott help, some people.
Is that your first crew chief?
That was my first crew chief job.
What was your feeling? Like you
Makes
had-
the catch to
I know you're
record
probably
the
not
out.
sitting there going, "I made it."
No.
You're but I mean, you're finally getting to make these decisions and doing this job, right? I mean, is there
Against
just,
right-handed
is
pitchers
it like
than this
as
guy.
exhilarating and as fun as you had
He
ever
sends
dreamed
this
it would
pitch
be?
That
towards
job
second
wasn't
base.
because all I wanted was
Got him.
for Evernham to leave me alone and let me do my job. He was still trying to be crew chief at that point, so he was being the car owner, right? So that was a tough one because
guy is great at
it
getting the bat.
It was like having my dad again.
Really?
Yeah, man,
Hits
it was
it
tough.
foul.
So
I love Ray. Don't get me wrong. No,
For
no.
sure.
All I'm saying is that
Of
when
course.
we were at the racetrack, he's like, "Why are you taking these tires? Why are you putting those springs in? Why are you doing that?" I'm like, he wants to run this spring package. They ran the 24. I'm like, dude, that's old school. We
One
don't
and
do that
one, the
anymore, right?
count.
So he's like, I'm only 2 years removed. I'm like, yeah, you're behind,
He
bro.
delivers.
But so
1 and 2.
so
the
no,
count.
no, it was great. It was fun. It was awesome. And we did all that stuff with testing. And Stacy Compton was driving
Swing
for
and
Melling,
a miss. He struck him
and so he did some testing with them. And Dodge was going to Melling, and they needed a crew chief. And they asked me if I would go to the 92 car. And I was like, yeah,
With
man,
2
let's
innings
give it a go.
played,
It's my
the game
opportunity.
is
Let's go
scoreless.
full-time Cup racing with the 92 car and Melling Racing, which is
The bottom of the
iconic
order
as we
is
know.
up
So
next.
I wanted to go give it a go.
So how many
This
years?
batter
were you-
isn't going to turn any heads with this.
Are you
swing.
still high strung?
I am not near what I
Throws
used to
it
be
over
now.
for
At
a
that
strike.
point.
Oh,
He
God.
showed excellent
Yeah.
command.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Right
Now
there,
you're a
strike
crew
right on
chief
the
because
edge
I'm
of the
still
zone.
kind of hung up on that. I was too high strung at DEI. I don't know what
Yeah.
that actually means,
Got
but
it
I know
for the
it sounds like that maybe
The next batter is
let's call it
Mike
chemistry.
Lowe.
Let's call it seeing eye to eye. And you
Yeah.
seem, forgive me if I say, very opinionated and direct in your way
delivers a
is
strike.
how it's
It's
going to be.
0-1.
Maybe even you don't have to have the title as crew chief for you to
Yeah, I
know a
rub-
right
I
way and a
Towards
wrong
second
way.
base.
Yeah, I rub people the wrong
They
way a
make
lot,
the play.
because
Next
that's
up,
the way
Jason
I felt
Varitek.
things should be done a certain way, no
This
matter
hitter
what
is
position I was in.
atrocious
And other folks
against
maybe just
right-handed
didn't
pitching.
see it that way.
So I guess my point is if
Pitch
that's
misses.
how it was at
He's
DEI,
registered
did
6
you
wins
try
and
to
8
adapt,
losses
or
this
did you
season.
try to change your ways, or were you just trying to
One
land in the
ball, one
situations that
strike.
would
This guy right here will
finally
beat you if
give you
get
the
that ball
freedom
up
to
in
do
the
it
zone.
your way?
More of what you're saying, yeah. That's why working with Ray, I think, helps because Ray is very direct, much like myself.
They
And a
make
direct
the
person,
play.
all you want to be is communicating to directly. Right? And then there's really no blurred lines. Like, you know what's happening. And
After
that's why
2
Ray
and a
and I
half,
work so
no
well together.
score here.
Trust me, we fought. Like we bickered and fought all the
That's
time.
what direct people do.
Yeah, but we had some success, right? And being with Ray was a comfort zone for me because I knew his mentality was very much like mine, and that's why going to work with
Gets
him
a
again
strike
was
high
a
in the
good-
strike zone.
This was
I mean, this
before
guy
the
can really
MBS
get down the
surveys,
line.
by the
He's
way.
always
How do you know about MBS?
Because let me
do
tell you
it.
something, Chad.
Crawford
have it
pops
here.
it up to the catcher.
What's that?
We're sort of as a satellite, sort of Hendrick.
Yes, we're a
That's what
Hendrick
you guys
satellite
did
team.
to it.
Chad, I want to tell you, and this is all part of the story. I don't want this to be a diversion because this is fascinating, but I want you guys to know, people listening.
One out, nobody
Chad,
out.
there in this world is this program called Management by Strength, MBS, and what it basically is, I'm going to try to minimize it today, for a very simple explanation. You take a survey, and it's a personality. No, I'm getting to this point. Chad's showing us
Give
a
him
picture.
hell because look at his line.
No, I've seen. So it basically breaks you down into 4 categories. One is direct, which is a red, and then there's like a green, which is an extrovert, and yellow is structured, and blue is paced, I believe. And so we were introduced as a company to this program. And I say all that to say this. Chad Knaus is an example that they use in the presentation to all the 150 employees. They go, this is what you could be and nothing's wrong. This is management by strength. This is showing your strengths. Now, that being said, let's show you what Chad Knaus is. And they
There's a
throw
high
up this
stride.
flaming red.
He showed excellent command.
I'm
of that
talking,
pitch.
the
A strike
paper's
right
on
the edge
fire.
of the
It's
zone.
so red. There is not a shade. The hue in itself was unprecedented. And then the line. Usually people can be a combination of a couple colors. Like I'm green, but I got a good bit of yellow in it.
Pitch misses
This
for a
fella
ball.
is red.
Try to make
His
the
second
decision.
color's red.
Exactly
His
what you
third
saw
and fourth
right
color's red. And that line did something that I didn't even think lines do, which is all to say that there's no more direct personality than Chad Knaus, and it was proven in that.
After 3
And
innings,
so
the
much so
score
they
is
use that as an
1-0.
example. Now, knowing that you are one of a
Stepping
kind,
in, Johnny Damon.
this is what you're taking to
batter's been
Stacey
known to
Compton's
go on
team
streaks
because you are
versus
what you are your whole life,
right-handed pitching.
right? I mean, this has had to be what you are. And now we know who you are as a person. Now, how did that work out?
He
It worked
delivers.
pretty well. For my
No
first time,
swing. He swiped 5
we went
bases.
to Daytona, and with the Dodge for the first time, we unloaded down there as a manufacturer, and we qualified on the front row.
He reaches with a leadoff single.
We qualified second, and Elliott qualified first in the 9, which really just torqued my.
This guy
Torqued
here
me
has
up.
moderate
Race car.
success
Yeah, race car
against
beat me.
right-handed pitching.
That pissed me off, man. I was so mad.
Counts
But then we went to
0-1.
Talladega, and
Infield's
we
gotta think
qualified
about
on the
playing
pole
a
at both
double play
Talladega
right now.
races. We qualified third at the second Daytona race. We qualified
One
up front at a
ball,
lot of
one strike.
racetracks. We didn't race exceptionally well. We had some good races, not a lot, but
The delivery.
I felt like
Line
the
drive,
qualifying
back
and
up the
the
middle.
super speedway stuff and things I could control maybe a little bit
He's
more.
on
So I really
first
focused
with a
on
base
that,
hit.
and I think that's what helped me
That
get
ball was
noticed.
tattooed.
What were
It
some
had
things
base
holding
hit
y'all
written
back?
all over it.
Money, man. We didn't have any money, Mark Melling, I love him to pieces. Still see him occasionally. He was just taking over his deal for his dad, and the racing thing was getting more and more expensive, and Melling pumps up there and all the stuff that they had going on.
Here's a
and
guy
it was
who
just a
can
big
hold
taxing
his own
thing.
against right-handed
Maybe some of
pitching.
that kind of money.
So if you take that test now, are you still
Hey,
the
partner,
same
if the
red,
pitcher can
same
keep the
line?
ball low in
It
the
can't
zone,
be
he
true.
might be
It's
able to
interesting
produce
that
a ground ball
Mike
start,
brings
too.
this up. So we
He
first took
swung
that
through the
test in
pitch.
1996, and the guy comes around. He's talking to us about the structure of the lines and what they mean, and he's going around the table and he's talking to all these folks. And we're
pops the pitch down the line.
what that does is
Infield
talk. He's
fly,
definitely-
which means the batter's out, and the base
This guy
runners can
definitely
advance
structured.
at
Always got
their
his
own
paperwork
risk.
all the time, making sure he's got all his stuff.
The next
And I'm
batter
like,
is Lance
and he gets to
Berkman.
me and he sees my little line on my tent, and he's like, Chad, for instance, look at him. Like, he's
No
a guy
balls
who
and one
likes to
strike.
spend a nice
He's
day
batting
out on the
281.
lake fishing, and everybody there's like,
balls.
wrong, wrong,
Batted in.
wrong. And he said, let me finish. A nice day on the lake fishing in a speedboat with a hand grenade.
He
And
reaches with a
yeah, that's
one-out
him.
single.
And that's
Got a good pitch to
that's
hit right there, and he
absolute
put it in the
truth.
outfield for a
And so when
single.
I went back in 2002, when I went back to HMS, I took the test again because I was curious. I mean, we're talking 6 years later, a bunch of life experience changes,
Mahomes
and it
steps
came
into
back
play.
identical, identical. And it's amazing. Like, if you are true with it,
Yes,
This is
it tells
upstairs
it comes back
for
the
a
same.
ball.
honestly.
But now you can adjust, right?
Sure.
I've learned to temper my mannerisms some, and
Well, you're a parent now.
I am, man.
I mean, like if there's any explanation in retaking a test and it be different, it's
Easy
going through the
play
experience
for
of
the
having
left
kids,
fielder.
right?
Yeah, maybe.
He's got it for the
I still
out.
think I'm the same because I manage
The
my
runner
emotions.
crosses the plate on the sacrifice fly.
Wow.
To me, that's a successful
do
at
that?
bat. As a batter, anytime you
So
can
I've
drive
got
in a
this
run, you've done
amazing
your
boss.
job.
His name is Rick Hendrick, and
He's always been a boss.
yeah, he has, and he has been such a great
Next
coach
up,
for
Trot
me.
Nixon.
He's taught me how to manage my emotions in different situations, when to and when not to. Right. He's helped me understand where I've lacked in some leadership skills, and I've worked really hard on that.
On the ground.
So
Oh,
I
the
just
foul.
it's a project of mine to try to make sure that I'm doing the things right.
Can you admit where you might have lacked in leadership?
Just out of the fielder's reach.
Besides my speedboat.
Well, I wouldn't
That'll
even
do
know
it for
what
the
that
Red
would be.
Sox in the fourth inning.
But a guy like you that's, going back to being one of the best, I think you're the best crew chief. I mean, there's a
Going
couple
into
guys
the
in that
bottom of the
conversation,
fourth, the game's tied at 1.
but what were you lacking?
My communication lacked. My willingness to.
A lot of people, though, would think that also was part of your success.
It is, but
Pitch
you have to
misses.
use it at the right time.
He's tallied
And
7
you know,
wins and 8 losses this season.
needing to.
Here's the pitch.
How do I say this? So when I started, I was doing everything. I was building shocks. I was, making sure the body was right, making sure the setup was 100% correct, running the simulation. I mean, man, it was just all of it. And
That
I just
one's
told
hit high
everybody what to do.
and
You do this, you do this, you do
deep
this.
Gone. A
And man,
home run.
I'm not that smart. I came to realize pretty damn quick, right? I had to have a lot of smart folks around me. Once I started to see that, and Mr. Hendrick showed me how to work with those folks better and give people some rope and guidance as opposed to telling them what to do and allowing them to be a bigger part of the team, that's when we really started to be successful. And it took a little bit to get there because I was having a lot of success working kind of solo as in giving the direction as opposed to letting
to
people
center
bring
field.
direction to me and then making the decision.
Let's take a break from this conversation and tell you about a partner that keeps
Another
the gears
single.
turning with the Dale Jr.
Well, he just didn't fool him at
Well,
all.
we
That's
all
the
know
Chief Bell, the
originals
outfield for
in
single.
our lives. and our
Next
sport.
at the
We all
plate,
love originals.
Sean
We talk about it on the
Figgins.
show. Our guest here, future Hall of Fame crew chief Jack Knaus. He's an original. Valvoline, they are the original motor oil. They've been on the cars that Jack Knaus
That's
is crew
strike
chief
two.
with William Byron. They've been involved at Henry Motorsports for many years. I've even driven the Valvoline scheme. It has a rich history in racing from day one. Chad, do you know about the first race in
A
America?
3-pitch strikeout.
Very first race in America.
Like sanctioned
Ever.
event?
Ever.
First race ever. in
Ever. You don't.
Motorized race. So, do you know where I'm from?
Rockford, Illinois.
Rockford, Illinois.
You might know this.
I know this.
I'm from
Gets a
Rockford,
roller
Illinois.
over towards
And,
first.
I think it was the Chicago Tribune
Oh,
race, right?
Wow.
I think there was. So if I remember correctly, it was a couple
Halama
motorcycles
takes, and the count
and
evens at 1.
cars.
Clover leaves.
And the pitch.
So yeah, Chicago Tribune.
1895.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Chicago, the Times Herald race. Valvoline wasn't just there. They were in
That's
Frank
4
Jurier's
strikeouts.
winning car, the number 5. It was a horse's track.
Burrows is up.
Then and now, Valvoline stays on the cutting edge. They have a team of scientists that work on in a dedicated engine lab.
And a
Have you ever
strike.
been to the
He
dedicated
swiped
engine
1
lab?
base.
I haven't, but it sounds like
Where
a cool
they're
place
working
to be.
on Valvoline.
That's what you thought HMS was, a bunch of lab coats.
Yes. I was like, oh man.
Breaking ball. Nothing in 2.
Well, they do. They got
Batter could not lay
a
out
team of
the corner
scientists
strike.
that
Nice
work on
fastball there.
different types of motor oils for different torques, short tracks, super speedways.
Tight.
They're telling Chad, here's the oil you need to run to sit on the pole at
Yeah.
Richmond. Do not run this at Bristol. It only works at
And
Richmond.
it's now 2 and 2.
Remember, an original doesn't meet standards. It sets them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
Strokes
I
this
got
one
to be
into
in that
left
shop
field.
just for a little while, which was
He
so
makes
fun.
the play.
To be able
Never
to
in doubt.
get like a real
After
close
4
front
innings,
view
the
of
score
what,
is 2-1.
success
Coming
looks
up,
like, what
the
perfection
bottom of
looks
the
like.
order.
And all up until I got that chance to go into that shop and work next to you, I'd heard how man, he's hard to work with. He's hard to work with. No denying that
Swings
success.
and misses for a
And,
strike.
If
He's
you want to
batting
win,
243
that's where you
with no home
want to go in
runs
this
and
company.
5 RBIs.
That team's going to win. But man, he's hard.
didn't
He's
go through the
cantankerous.
zone with that
He's,
swing.
he's not
Even the
personable.
batter
He's
knew
not
he got
your
away
buddy.
with the swing there.
And when I got to go into that
Foul
building,
back behind the plate.
I never saw any of those guys complain.
Right.
And all those,
Zambrano with the
I would look
1-2
over there and
pitch.
go, Man, I hear he's hard to work
Miyagi
with.
sends it to
Right?
short.
Yeah, I mean, he's not personable.
And he's out.
He's nobody's friend. He's nobody's buddy. He's not here
Stepping in,
back slap.
Mike Lowe.
And,
That's right.
But looking at all his guys, are all his little minions are going all over the shop, doing their jobs. Perfection. Cars are perfect. Pieces are ready. Cars are ready. Everything's so shiny.
Swing and a
And
miss.
I'm like,
Where is this guy, right? And I'll go one better. I remember the first time we were in that shop, and you and I went over there for a
Towards the
meeting,
shortstop.
and it was in the upstairs, it was kind of like a break room area. And I was thinking the same thing.
The
I'm
next
like, oh, this is
batter
going to
is
be our
Jason
first meeting with
Barrington.
Chuck the mouse. You know, the big they all said it.
yeah.
And
I was
part of
talking
that,
to my ex.
No. So, but then we go up there, and it's like, I think that you guys were preparing for this annual
back
soapbox
through the
derby
zone.
contest.
Oh, yeah,
Or
man.
like y'all,
Yeah.
you handed out the blocks of wood or something, and everybody's laughing
Long fly
and they're
field and deep.
cheerful. And it's like I look over there, and
retires
there's
the side.
Malik over there going
into the bottom of the
go in,
fifth. The
and,
score
and
is
everybody, and I'm
2-1.
like, this is not what I thought this
Yeah.
was going to be. I thought they were going to be scared and everything. And Chad's going to rain down the thunder in the soapbox. Even if we're going to do a soapbox, by God, it's going to be done my way. And he's like, y'all have this much time to work on it. Good luck. It's going to be fun. I'm going to look forward to this. And I was like, what is this? This is happy time. What is happy time here? I didn't know they had
Easy
this.
play for the left fielder.
And we worked hard.
Puts it away for the out.
Look,
Okay, this dude did not bring
I'm
his
a
A
big
game
team
in.
guy.
Hey,
Like, I love it. Like, that
can't
soapbox
be
derby
all
stuff, and
ball.
this COVID experience is really crushing me right now. Because I like it with my guys and my team and my group, and I love it. And look, let's be honest, man. There's people that don't buy into that type of structure, and people that don't buy into that type of a discipline.
And the 0-2 pitch
And
coming up.
those are the ones that paint the picture,
On the
because
ground,
those
he
are the ones that
couldn't
squeak
hold
the
on to the
most,
ball.
right? So the people that left or didn't like
Safe
working
on the
for me,
play
that
at
left, either
first.
left on their own
On
accord
that
or we
play,
had
it didn't appear the field
to
looked
get
ball
rid
was
of,
glove. The
they're the ones
result,
that,
a big
that,
old
that
error.
complained about the way that I conducted business and called me right? I mean, that's just the truth, right? But the folks that buy into it and enjoy it and like the direction and the aggressive style of racing and making sure everything's right, and man, they loved it, lived it, and we had a great time. We had a lot of fun.
But your team is going to be,
And it's
you
ball
get
one.
to basically pick and choose who's going to be on your team. Either going to work or they're not going to work, and they're gone. What about, though, other
Pitch
crew
taken
chiefs?
for
What
a
about
ball.
other management and all
The
that stuff?
pitcher
I mean,
does
because
not
that's the
wanna
part where,
fall
to
any
me,
further behind this
would
guy,
be the
so he
biggest
should be coming in
challenge
with something
in
across
trying
the
to
plate. Keeping that in mind,
fit
this could
in
be a
or
perfect time to
really
hit and run.
work to where you're still successful.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on for years.
Keeping the
Okay.
cohesion.
And getting that better and
3
better.
and
and,
1.
Yeah.
Hitter's
What would you like in
pitch.
those meetings?
Nice. No, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The count is
bad.
full.
I mean, look,
There was not a lot of, there was not any like animosity or
That's 5
a little
strikeouts.
competitiveness. That
When you
was
talk about
good,
making a
healthy
good pitch,
competitiveness.
right there
I
he was
think all the
really
teams
backed
enjoyed
up
each
against
other.
the wall,
But
and then he
there was
digs deep, makes
real
great
good
pitches, and
communication.
hits the strikeout.
Like from crew chief to crew chief, engineer to engineer.
it's way better
Runner
now.
on first with
Is it
2
even
outs.
better?
Oh my gosh, it's nuts right now. The way that that Hendrick Motorsports is working right now, I'm so happy that I'm coming in to take this position at this time,
Out of the
because
zone,
we are
that's
just
a ball.
blossoming into what I think we're going to be for the next decade. And it was different then.
That one just
I remember when you
missed.
came in, I was like,
Okay, with that first baseman holding the
what's
runner,
going to happen, right? I
there's
didn't know
a
you that
big
well,
hole on the
right?
right
We
side
just
of the
crossed
infield.
paths a
Just gotta
few
be thinking
times and
about that
whatnot.
with hit and run.
And you were always kind of with your crew, and your guys, and Yuri's and your group, and you and
He
all those
pulls a
guys over
ground
there.
ball
I was
to
like,
the left
what's going to
side.
happen when he comes over here? It's a little different.
There's an out.
And
After 5
Wait, now, are you
innings,
talking about when he went to
Boston
Hendrick
trails
Motorsports
by
or when he
1.
went to the shop?
when he went into our shop,
When they made the switch to the
right
shop.
when he came
Up
over with
next,
the
Johnny
cart
Damon.
and our
Okay.
shop, and I was like, I just don't know what's going to happen. And man, I'll tell you what, I enjoyed it from the word go. Like, completely different person than what I thought when you showed up. Like, you joked and you laughed and you had a good time.
What did you think he was?
That one's
I
going to
didn't know.
fall
I'd
in
never
for a hit.
experienced it.
Well, you must have assumed something if you were
Good start to
surprised.
the
When you
inning.
No,
assumed,
I just didn't.
Well, that's
I
how you
ne-
get
I
things
help-
going.
I
There are a
never
ton of options
saw
now. The runner in first and no out.
his wit,
No
right?
outs and
Like
a runner on
the way
first.
he's just like, you're pretty
Takes a pitch
snappy,
high.
man. Like, it's pretty cool, right? When we're sitting in an
Yeah.
environment, I mean, he's pretty damn quick. And I remember we had an event at your Cowboy Town, and that's the first time you and I really sat down, and we sat on
On the ground,
sat on your
he
porch there
dives
having a
and
beer
makes
one night.
fantastic
And the
catch.
guys were there.
He
and
reaches
we
first
sat in the
safely.
Rockers, and we just started chatting up. I'm like, this dude's pretty cool. he's a cool dude. And from that point on, I just got mad respect for you. I was like, man,
thanks.
this is legit.
Could y'all have worked together?
No way.
I don't think so.
Could y'all have been the next driver crew chief combo that's going to?
I don't think twice about
I'm
sending the runner on a hit to
I mean,
left
maybe
field.
now, but
He's got
I
one of the better
not
outfield
as
arms
good
in the league.
Oh, so you're pinning that on you, though?
no, it'd be me. It would be him.
You said it wouldn't be because of
58 runs batted in.
but you said no right away too.
I'll say
Because of me.
No. I'll say this. Like, I think that had the opportunity
out to
presented
center.
itself when I was a rookie, or earlier in the first probably 3 or 4 years of my career, we might have been able to do it.
Okay.
And I might have been able to. I would have needed to made a bunch of personal
Devil Rays
choices,
called down to
right?
the pen to get
Lifestyle
a
choices
right-hander warming
that would
up.
have been able to,
Yeah.
because he would have not put up with
Up
that I was
next with
doing.
one single
Right.
already.
I was
Lance
really
Berkman.
regimented, man.
Right.
I know that, and I don't disagree with you at all. But like once you got to Hendrick, though,
Taken for a ball.
you changed.
Right now, the
you had
defense
to.
should be
I
thinking,
did,
you
but
did. Pitcher can really help out by throwing something low
already
in strike
had
zone.
the greatest, one of the
Strike
greatest
with a
drivers.
fastball.
Sure. No. Yeah. I mean,
You're not gonna. I'm not
consider
saying that, he's
Right.
gonna swap with Jimmy and me, but when you've had that,
Right.
how do you do anything else?
Yeah. It would have been different. How he was living wasn't where I was.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to be. Don't get me wrong, man. It looked like a lot of fun. But
Scoops the ball out of the dirt.
just my mental space was
smooth
just
silk, just like the practice, big boy.
the Jimmy and Chad time right there was just, and it was
After
just
5 and a half, the score is 2-1.
You guys are just.
It just happened, man. Like that just doesn't happen. We were so fortunate that this great spotted that and got us together and gave us the freedom to do what we needed to do. And Jimmy, bless that man. I love him so much.
There's a line drive.
Him allowing me to do what I needed to do to grow and learn and become
That
the
is
guy that I
Roman
needed to be,
error.
which was awesome. His tolerance for me was
Ooh, he
really
just did not get in good position to field that
That's
ball.
interesting. You know what's interesting? Like when we had Rodney Childers here, and I asked him the question.
Wait,
Stepping in at a perfect 2-for-2.
I thought I was the first crew chief.
No, you know what? Dale Earnhardt took Rodney to
Don't take
catfish
it
pond
personal.
too. No. Rodney couldn't wait to tell us about those albino catfish. Dale Earnhardt sent about 12 or 13 of them home with him too. Did he do that for you?
They
No.
said
No.
don't play together.
No,
Get a ground ball right here,
but
they
we
might
asked
get
Rodney,
two.
how do you make it work with Harvick? Because Harvick had obviously developed a reputation of being, quite vocal on radios and whatnot. And it became clear in his answer that Rodney
He's
did
on
all
his
the
way to the
confidence,
plate.
right? I mean, Rodney's like, well, this is how
A run
Harvick is. He
crosses
said
the
the only way
plate.
it's going to work is
He
if
does a great job to knock in the run, and look at
It
this,
may not have
they're
been
still
too hard for Rodney because he doesn't come across as very, vocal and everything, but he's going to let Harvick speak his mind. How much compromising did you do after you and Jimmy had that well-documented, meeting with Mr. A,
Oh, the milk and cookies.
the milk and cookies
Yeah.
meeting, where you guys were arguing? But how much did you have to go
Bullpen is
compromise in
stirring, so
areas
he just wants to come out and give
to
the
make that
bullpen
work?
some more
Because
time.
you got to a point that you guys couldn't
That
lose.
mound visit
Yeah.
may have gotten in the pitcher's head.
A lot.
You see him
a lot.
pull it together.
But my compromise wasn't really with Jimmy.
Oh,
No, not really.
They're making a pitching
If
change.
anything, it probably got
They're
even
going to the righty.
just
Scott
the same
Williamson.
or even more asking of Jimmy at that point, because what in my opinion, how do I say this? At that point, I needed to give the team some freedom, kind of like I was speaking about earlier. And when I did that, the performance
Ground
really
ball to
started
right
to
side would be just
escalate
what the
even more.
doctor ordered.
And
Move
we didn't
that
necessarily
runner
win
to
more
third.
races, but our performance, man, was there. Like if we didn't win, we were
strike.
there. If
Better
we
had
had
no
a
choice
bad
right
race,
there.
we
Take
came
it,
back.
and it's a
And,
strike.
if we had
What a sweet pitch.
battery failure, we changed the battery, we came back and we won. That's
And
where
three
this really
pitches, he's
started to come.
gone.
So
Hey, the pitcher wins the battle. Sweet pitch to get the
the
catch.
ask of Jimmy was even higher at that point. We've got this ability. You got to come with your A game every time, and you've got to give a little bit more. But man, you could do it. Sorry.
Is that important?
No.
if it is, you could take it
Yeah.
to listen.
No, if this was my wife, that'd be funny.
And he fouls this
No,
one
it's
back.
conference room at work. So
That's good.
Maybe that is important.
Yeah, it feels like it could be.
Jimmy
Alama goes down
was
swinging.
phenomenal about being
That
a
guy's got
race
2
car
strikes on him, but he
and
freaks
me
out.
being
He
able
takes
to
that thing,
push
he
him
missed
to
it
go
by a
faster,
mile.
and he could do it.
2 outs with a
Now-
man on second.
He'd say because the car's capable of it, right? Because at different times,
That's the
say,
final
I can't
out of
do
the
it now
inning with a
because
runner
the car's
stranded
capable
on
of it.
second.
Man, I'm just telling you, I could ask
After
that guy.
5,
He
Tampa
could do
Bay
it.
leads by 2.
That's amazing. That's just amazing what he was capable of doing. And it was so damn fun to watch it. He'd be out there and running, and I'm like,
In tight.
man, we need a 10th. And he did 800s, right? And I was, man, okay, all right, man, if we get a little bit of crossweight in this thing, we're gonna get it. And it's just amazing. I remember one time we were at Charlotte Motor Speedway leading the 600, and he's just ripping, man. I mean, flying. And
They got
just
him.
too tight, and we got like an 8-second lead on the field, just
Stepping
smoking
in,
everybody. And I'm like,
Nixon.
hey, if you back up the corner just a little
Against
bit, it
righty
won't be as tight.
pitchers,
You
the
don't need to
batter
go
has
that
nothing
fast.
to
Like,
write
we're like a
home about.
tenth and a half faster than everybody on the racetrack.
Misses away for a ball.
You back up the corner, and like we start going
Sometimes
2.5
you
times
try to
faster
make
than
a
everybody.
hit
I'm like,
chase your pitch.
Jesus,
Exactly
this
what you
is
saw
amazing,
right
right? And to live through that as a race car
Misses
driver and a crew
outside.
chief, and I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. It was just an amazing time. It was so cool.
One of the things that I think a lot of people
Taken for a ball.
associate with you is creativity.
Yeah.
3 balls and no strike.
Yeah.
You think so?
Explain.
And this is something that
Well,
really
your dad hired me.
it's something that interests the hell out of me.
Yeah.
We talked to
The pitch is
Gary
hit to right
Blue?
field.
was an innovator.
Yeah, Gary Blue on here?
He
The
was one
catch
of our
is
first
made.
guests this year or last year.
Last year.
Yeah, man.
Um,
This race against him, loved it.
But a lot of people that we've had on the show, Rodney and others, I mean, talking about, I'm not straight up calling you a cheater. I'm just saying
I appreciate that. Thank you.
you are innovative. You're innovative. Like
Jeez,
man.
you read.
Yeah. You're right. No, you're right.
I'm part of this too. So like,
Hey, partner, it's
'cause I
time now
told,
for the 7th inning stretch.
I would tell
Didn't
people,
you sing recently at Wrigley?
when somebody
Oh, I
gets
sure
busted
did.
for
When I was in the
something
league,
and
I could
NASCAR
pitch in front
finds
of
something they don't
50,000
like, I'm
people,
like,
but
I want
that
that
was like
crew
throwing in my
chief.
backyard, singing the
My
takeout
guy
of
ain't
the ball
trying
game at Wrigley.
to get
I
busted,
was scared
then
to
we ain't
death.
trying hard enough. I love the aggressive crew chief that was willing
This guy's speed
to
always makes him a
sit
threat
at
to
home
bunt
for
for
6
a hit.
weeks.
Keep your
Yeah.
eyes
You know?
peeled,
I did a
big
couple
boy.
times.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think, what are some of the more creative things that you did to race cars to try to find speed?
Nothing you're doing now, though. Of course,
Yeah.
you
Man, I can go back a long, long ways, brother.
Because I think that was, that's not why you're a 7-time champion in the Cup Series, but I think that one of the things that I always appreciated about you is that even when you did get your hand smacked from NASCAR, you never changed that sort of approach. That you got to be aggressive.
Yeah.
If you're not pushing the limits of the rule book and finding holes in it every single day.
And he's on with the
And
leadoff
when we
double.
would go, we'd go to meetings with NASCAR, or we'd go to our meetings at the conference room, and that was my favorite thing, was when we were going to talk about where we could get creative. No,
I got
just
you.
where we could get creative.
Yeah.
And you could tell, without saying any names, you could tell who in the room was like eager
on and nobody out.
to like explore opportunities where we could
Winning a
find
game's getting hits with runners in
ways
scoring
to be
position.
creative with the rule book
Let's
and
see what
find
this
holes
guy can
in
do
it.
out
You
here
could
with
see
Ron on second
people that
base.
were like, this makes me uncomfortable.
That's usually management.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Alan
He's
Gustafson
on with a
said
single.
this really well, and he said, to be successful in anything, you got to be just a little bit uncomfortable. And it's truth, right? I've lived my whole life very uncomfortable. Going through technical inspection, making race calls, designing parts and
Out of the zone,
cars
that's a
and all
ball.
that,
All he needs is a
always
deep
just
fly
trying to
ball,
push
and
the
they should
limits.
score a run.
Man, we would have stuff, rear end housings, leaving our cars, an inch
He's
and a half.
batting 290 with
Out there
19
just
home runs
whip
and
everybody,
61
and
RBIs.
NASCAR would look at it and be like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, well, why? Show me. We just can't. And then they would write a rule, right? And then we were so fortunate back then that we would have
You know, every once in a while, you just got to reach back and come up
and
with a
we
good
would bring
strike.
them out. Okay, lines for a while until they catch it. When they catch it, all right, close that door, bring in this new item. All right, we'll run that.
You had a long-term plan of innovation, we'll
I mean,
call it. I don't want to directly call you a cheater.
I mean, it's how we did it, and what we would do is we get to the
With 2
playoffs and
innings
everything would
left,
come
the
together.
Red Sox
Like everything that
trail
we
by
tried,
2.
early in the summer or late
Breaking
in
in
the
the righty
spring or
right
at
here
this
is a
track,
good
and we
move
bring all that
because
stuff
right-handed
together.
hitters
We
can
did the
have trouble
playoffs, man.
picking
We
up
really
his
rock and
breaking
roll.
pitches.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
It
We
was-
didn't have a chance.
Well,
Next
chance.
up,
What we
Mike
did
Lowe.
when we got in the same building.
Yeah, that was it.
man, they
Yeah.
did great.
The
You
delivery-
were right in
A
the
lot of
hunt for
good-
the championship,
Yeah,
man.
there's a lot of good parts and pieces.
Yeah, we had a lot. I mean, so we'd have to bring the drivers in.
And here's the
I can't tell you how
delivery.
many times I'd lean in the window of Jimmy's race and be
Taken
like,
for a ball.
"Hey, man, you might want to sneak up on this one."
Yeah.
Don't really know what's gonna happen, and he'd just rip it,
This
right?
could be 3 hits
Right.
faster and it might just crash. We don't know.
We just got to see. But
Liner
we
right
would bring
at
the
the
drivers
third
in and be like,
baseman.
"All right, guys, look,
That's a
this
great
weekend
play on a
we got a
very
little
tough
something
line
going
drive.
on here. Just
That's one of the toughest
be
balls in
prepared."
baseball to
And
judge.
Give us good feedback. Don't freak out on
And
the radio.
here's
He's
the
vocal on the
delivery.
radio.
Out of the
Damn,
zone,
we're in
that's
housing's
a
falling
ball.
out of the car. And I'm like, Letarte, tell him to shut up, man. Like, everybody's hearing this. Everybody listens to
Oh,
Dale.
so when you, to be clear for
He
everybody listening at
delivers.
home, you're pointing to Dale Jr. being the vocal
Out of the
and not
zone,
Jimmy
that's a ball.
necessarily. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
De-
Oh, yeah.
Letarte never came to the window and said, "Hey, man, just
We got to be a little discreet about this. We're trying
it up."
to. So Dale Jr. is basically blowing the cover.
Oh, man.
Fall behind,
Keep it
fall
quiet,
behind,
you know.
finally walks the
We work on it. We get a little bit better. We
They
get
need
it all
to
squared
run
away.
right
Next thing you
now.
know, we're going
Bubba
fast.
get the
You know?
90 feet
Man.
If it felt
and
weird, I'd be
the
like,
scoring
"I can't do it. You got to tighten all that shit up back there."
What do y'all have back there? No, tell me on the radio
Exactly.
right now what y'all done.
Get that inch and eighth wrench and tighten it up.
Oh my God, that is so true. That is exactly it. I remember we were going to surprise Dale with this, like, we were going to sponsor the Spire car, and I had this visions of grandeur where Dale doesn't know we have a car back there, and we're going to pull off the cover, and it's going to have a Dirty Mo sponsorship on a Cup car, and he's going to be like, "Man, y'all got it. Oh, it's so awesome." And I'm like, what am I doing? Dale's never going to react the way you think he is. He's going to go, "Why didn't y'all tell me this?" What? And it's like, and then the moment's gonna be gone. No, I got to tell him well in advance of it. Make sure he doesn't blow the cover. That's so funny you said that.
It's true. It's a true story. But, yeah, man. We had a lot of fun back then. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was awesome to be able to get in the same shop and
Runners on first
so
and
when I was
second,
racing
2
in
outs.
when I was at DI, for anyone in the sport at the time, HMS is kind of this perfect.
He belts it way
Successful.
back, and
Man, I wonder
gone.
I don't know what they do. And I finally get hired to go work there, and I worked in
everybody knew it was out of the yard.
538 shop for a while, and it was nice.
Dirksen
You know,
comes
it
through
was definitely
big time
a
right
different
here.
culture
The 3-run
that I
homer is
still
a
knew.
great way to
And
put
there
a
was
big
huge
number on the
difference
scoreboard in
between
a
the
hurry.
cultures. Not better or worse, but there's a different culture in the 48.
The corners
24
are
shop.
guarding the
And I was
lines.
like, hey, it's
Stepping
cool
in
being
1
here, and I'm
for
getting to see
3,
some
Lance
things that I've
Berkman.
always wanted to see, and getting to have these conversations with everybody that works here. But man, now I really want to kind of be in that shop,
Yeah.
which I never thought it'd happen. But
What do you attribute that to, though, the difference in culture? Well, I mean, it was so noticeable. It's Chad. You're saying it's Chad.
Swings
Is
and
that
misses for a
true?
strike.
I guess. I have to assume, I mean, Dale saw it from the outside and lived both worlds.
A 3-pitch strikeout.
Chad definitely ran. Chad sort of controlled the atmosphere and the temperature in the 48 24 shop.
After
As far as
7.5,
Mike,
the score is
before
4-3.
that, I don't know. He was there quite a while. But when I got there, Letarte leaned on Chad. And that Letarte knew the opportunity he had to be able to work in the same building with Chad, and he utilized that.
The Red Sox call
to-
for a
to
reliever.
Success.
They're going to the bullpen.
Entire success. And we were moldy. We would fit wherever we needed to fit in that shop, and they were going to be who they were going to be. And we really just kind of leaned on them all the time, and tried to find ways to use what they were using and do what they were doing to make ourselves better. And
Well, and you contributed.
Lands foul.
Jimmy got
go-ahead run
significantly
is on
better
deck.
super speedway racing around with you. We got a win because of you, right? There's
Talladega
yeah.
when he pushed him.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that. No, junior fans don't
3
remember
pitches,
that.
3
There's
strikes.
no way.
It's the only time you ever
Right,
stayed
you just gotta
behind
reach
anybody.
back
I
and
think.
push right.
Yeah. That was the suckiest part about the tandem stuff. Is that I was
Next
just
up
good.
with 1 run
Good
batted
mind,
in,
good
Ken
lead.
Harvey.
So think about that. Okay, so if you ever raced in the,
Hits a
you've
foul
probably
ball.
not done it, but you've probably seen the chain races where they
Yeah.
the lead car has the
He
motor,
opens
and
up
the
on
rear car
one
has
and
the
hits a
brakes.
line drive.
Like I was good at
Sean
being
Figgin.
pushing, and when I was leading, I'm like, I might as well have had like a 50-1 steering box with a giant steering wheel. I'm like, I don't know where to go,
To the left side.
I'm trying to think. I think that race.
That'll do it for the Devil Rays in the
One of
8th.
my first races back
With
after
1 inning
suspension
left
too.
to
That we won
play,
that
the
race. So
score
thank
is
you.
4-3.
That always eases the pain.
I got to ask you a question back when you were driving.
Mound with zero stuff
This
in
is
it.
one of those, you might not even remember this, but you were working for Stacy
Yep.
at Sonoma. I wrecked y'all with like 5 laps
It
to
all
go.
comes down to
So
this.
the race has happened.
final
We've
inning.
talked about this on this podcast. And the Bloody Nose.
Oh, this is good.
So
This is a good story.
you don't remember this.
Oh gosh.
It doesn't appear he does.
I can see you don't.
Put that
So
fastball
we're
in, catch
racing,
it, comfort,
and
the
midway
batter's
through the race, I
over,
get a Bloody Nose.
matched. Lights out.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
okay,
no.
okay.
So I'm racing along, and I'm like, this is it.
Hey,
This
the
is
pitcher
cool.
wins the battle.
Lead.
Sweet pitch to get
And
the catch.
I'm tough, right? Got blood on me. I'm racing like hell.
You know where it hurts.
Nixon,
Yeah.
you hit next.
And so we get down toward the last couple of laps, and I'm
A ball.
I got a pretty good car, but somehow my strategy has me like 19th, and everybody just starts wrecking everybody. I come around a corner, and there's a guy standing. Run about a half a lap, there's a guy. Tires.
He
And I'm like,
snowballs it for the
I'll
out.
just start pushing people out of the way. And Stacy was in front of me. We got down into like some turn with like 3 to go, and I'm like, boop, spin Stacy around. And I was like, well, that was just one spot. I was thinking that'd be a lot more rewarding than it was. So I went from like 15th to 14th, and I pull into the
One ball and one
garage,
strike.
and I'm taking my off, and I'm hot and sweaty, and
There's a
sitting there, and I
strike,
got
1 and 2.
all dried blood on the face. And I look, and you're walking up to the car.
Oh no.
Yeah,
the
you're
pitch.
walking up to the driver. You're like
Hit towards the shortstop.
getting ready to give,
That'll
what
do
the
it as
hell
we
was
go
that?
to the bottom of the
You
inning.
spun my driver. I'm not
After
happy.
8
And
and
you
a
got
half,
like
the
5
score
foot from
is
the
4-3.
window, and you looked at me, and I must have had
A
blood.
pinch
Like,
hitter will come to the
and
plate.
you looked at me, and you went, and turned around and walked off. You never said a word. And you looked at me so puzzled. You were so puzzled, like, damn, somebody beat me to it.
Somebody got a
Somebody-
swipe in already.
Somebody else got here and hit it. You don't remember that?
I don't.
It was a long time ago. I'll never forget it.
Funny thing about that
And here
race.
comes the hook.
There was a lot that went
Closer,
bad there.
Keith
So you
Fulton.
crashed us, and so we were pitted on the island, right on the inside of the racetrack
Yeah.
where that inner pit road was.
Possible.
Yeah.
Where is this?
Sonoma.
Sonoma. Okay.
So when you
Yeah.
would come into the final turn, they had pit road wasn't long
0-1
enough, so
the
they
count.
had cars pit on the inside of the racetrack. So we had to move all your equipment to the inside of the racetrack, and you couldn't get out till the race was over. So we're in
That's
there.
in
We bring our
foul
cool down
ground, but he
units and
should
tool
have
boxes
room.
and
Lowell
stuff sitting
makes
out
the
there.
play in foul
And we get
ground.
crashed. And
Next at the plate is Sean Burrows.
And so my crew member, he rolls over to the cool down unit that's full of water, doesn't want to push it
Hey, partner, this guy's
all
had
the way
good
out
luck
full
with
of water
balls
because it's
up
heavy.
and in.
Pulls the plug, starts dumping the water out. The water started running across the racetrack.
Misses
So there's like
Lowell.
4 laps to go, and there's like a stream of water going down into turn 11.
So far, the batters are taking these
Oscar's
two.
gonna be so upset with me.
That's
but-
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Liner right after shortstop.
Hey, just
He's on
random
the
things
single.
that I had always kind of wanted to ask you, and I've always kind of wondered. You did allude to it a little bit about putting the pieces together on a team.
Yeah.
Okay, Now, at some point, engineers,
They need to get a run right here.
premium on
Do so,
engineers
they might want to give
really
up an out.
seem to take off. Or do I have that wrong? I mean, like at some point, it was like crew chief,
And he
driver.
hits it to
But
left.
now, engineers all of a sudden started becoming the next crew chiefs and started like.
That's
And
a
I was always
single.
curious, what's
It's got
better,
good work there to get the runner to score position.
an A+ engineer and a C+ driver,
Already in the game. All three
or an A+
out.
driver and a C+
He
engineer?
delivers.
If you're the crew
The
chief and
appeal
have your
goes
pick.
to third.
The driver.
Get an
The
A+
match went
driver and a
through
C+
the zone.
engineer. So there's still nothing.
Look what
beats
Jimmy did
a
with
good-
me.
Well, but you're a good person to ask because you also had some
It's hit
phenomenal
out to center
engineers.
field.
I mean, like notorious.
Davis should have
Greg
no
Ives
problem.
happened to do
And
well
the
for
Devil
himself,
Rays
right?
are down to their last out.
So I was always curious
Nothing
what you
special about
thought.
that one.
And
Just pick
is
the ball,
the
gotta
premium
get it,
skill?
make
You got to have the wheelman, and then everything else falls in place. Or if the wheelman has a car that's innovative and crafty.
0-1.
It takes both. It takes both. The way that we always approached it was maybe a little different than some other folks. Just
Sent on the
give you an
ground to
example.
the left side.
Jimmy had certain
And the
racetracks he was
game
really
is
good at.
over.
Dover, for instance. I mean, the guy's just a master at Dover, right? Like, he could drive a Chevrolet Tahoe around there and beat half the field. We didn't really focus on Dover.
The Red Sox
Didn't
have
need
won
to.
3
Yeah,
straight
Jimmy did.
games.
So what we would do is we would go focus on racetracks
Picks up
that
the save.
Jimmy wasn't good.
The
He
Boston
didn't
Red
maybe have the
Sox
upper hand.
win it by 1.
Try to make sure that we took a better product to those racetracks until he got to the point where he had the confidence and the ability to do what it was that he needed to do. So I think you have to have both to operate at the level that you need to in this sport right now, because the driver can't do it at every venue. You just can't. It's just not possible. And the team can't do it at every venue. So you got to figure out how you're going to approach it, and that's the way we always did it.
Talk about the new opportunity, the new position you're going to take next year. So, what is this role, and why are you excited?
Man, I can't wait. So it's called Vice President of Competition. Jeff Andrews has that role right now. Jeff Andrews is moving up to General Manager of Hendrick Motorsports, which is an amazing opportunity for him. He has got a he's learned a lot being in this role that he's in right now about cars that he didn't before, because he was basically an engine guy.
Right.
And so he was thrust into this and did fantastic. Huge fan of Jeff's, and he and I have worked really well together. We complement each other really well because he's a very, very, very not slow to move, but just calm type person, right? And as we've said, I'm not necessarily naturally that way, so I use that as to my advantage. But he's moving up, and then I'm taking a vice president of competition role, and basically that is what would be under my umbrella, like Mr. Hendrick likes to call it, is just everything with the car to make the car go faster. So that's the manufacturing aspect, that's the production aspect, that's the development and design, the engineers, the 4 car numbers, all of it,
All
a
of
lot.
it. Yeah.
It's a lot, and I'm completely overwhelmed.
What part of that job are you most looking forward to that you don't have to do that you do as a crew chief?
The part I'm looking forward to is working with all the teams. I really enjoy working with folks now. I enjoy working with people more now than I do working with cars. I think just being beat on so much about the cars and going through all the changes and all that, it's taken a little bit of that excitement from the cars away from me, not going to lie. But I really love, you had mentioned Greg Ives, Cliff Daniels, some of the other guys that we've got that are coming up through the ranks at Hendrick Motorsports. I really enjoy working with these guys and trying to guide them and get them into positions to where they can be successful. I really, really like that. So I'm looking forward to that. I've really enjoyed, so I told you we're in a position now at HMS that we're just starting to blossom with the way that we've got our structure now. And man, I've really enjoyed getting to know and working with Alan Gustafson. You talked about that competitive, that friendly competition between the car numbers. Man, we lived it because Alan was a Dehart guy. I was an Evernham guy. Those two did not get along really at all.
Oh.
And Alan and I, not that we carried that, but we had that competition. He would win, I would win. He would win, I would win. And we would help one, not really help one another. We push one another. That's probably the best way to say it. And so we always just had a little bit of a coarseness between the two of us. And man, right now, I love working with that guy. He is so dang smart. He is such a good crew chief. I think they got an opportunity to go to Phoenix this weekend and win the race and win the championship, which would be fantastic. So working with the folks is what I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I tell you this, if you're going to become a VP of competition, I can't think of a better lineup of drivers that I would want to start off our new role with than what you guys are going to have in 2021, right?
Man, I'm so excited.
What do you make of this?
Man, we've got youth